Thanks for joining. Hi, this is Clark Cochran. I am responsible for Americas for Conformiq. I'm located in San Jose in California. And we also have on Arjun today. Arjun is coming to us from our Bangalore office and appreciate him being on his Thursday night. So thanks, Arjun. Appreciate you being on.
No problem, Clark. Pleasure is mine.
So I'm going to give a few slides as an introduction here, and then Arjun's going to spend really the meat of this lab going through in a live demonstration of using the Conformiq software to really demonstrate an end-to-end test automation. For this particular lab, we're going to use Excel, we're going to use HPQC as part of the entire UFT solution, and then we're also going to use Selenium for execution. So we're going to show you what I'll call a heterogeneous flow, because I think that's one of the key things to understand is how can you, whether you're an end user or you're a service provider working with an account, how do you provide a seamlessly integrated end-to-end solution for functional testing? And that's what we're going to talk about today. All right. So what I want to start with is a couple of slides just for those who did not attend a webinar. We held one last week with Accenture. We've held multiple webinars. And so just as a little background to get you started here, I want to go through a few slides quickly. So really the idea here is to address major testing issues. There's been reports, world quality reports, world testing reports that have been circulated. You may have seen. If you haven't, we can forward those to you. But the issue is that manual testing is just too slow for today. And so what really are the issues that we need to address to solve those problems? And we need to enable continuous test design and execution. If you're only talking about automating the execution, you still have a lot of manual work that has to be done to automate the design, automate the scripts, and to automate the validation for those test cases. And so those have to be automated. Those have to be fast enough to provide continuous testing during development cycles. And then you need to be able to design and execute tests immediately when your application changes, because it's not enough to say, okay, well, I've done it over a period of a 2-week sprint or X amount of time, but now all of a sudden something's changed and all hell breaks loose and you have to do a test, you know, in a couple days or a day to get this out on time. So how do you handle that? And then, as I mentioned in the intro, you've got a whole bunch of islands of automation. You've got a whole bunch of different tools you want to link together. And you also have the issue of, I'd call it test automation backlog. You've got a whole bunch of test cases that you have manual test cases now and you want to automate them. How do you do that? Well, that's something that Conformiq solves. And then finally, capabilities that aren't really in the current process but should be. To know what you've covered, to comprehensively test and not have to do it in regression. You could do it in progression, to have full documentation, full traceability. I mean, how do you really know how good you are in testing if you really don't know what you've tested and how it's tested and what has tested it? So those are needed. Eliminate the test execution part of the scripting part of test execution. If you're using HP, you got to write VB scripts. If you're Selenium, JUnit, or some other binding, any other tool, same thing. That it's all set up as a scripting effort that takes a lot of time, and we think that can be eliminated. In fact, we know it can be eliminated because we've done it with our software. And then to reuse existing assets. You have manual test cases, diagrams. Those might be Visio or BPMN. Excel files, feature files, Gherkin feature files, you name it. There's a whole bunch of assets that are out there. Use them. So you can actually deliver known quality and do it at the speed of development. How does this work? You can import a whole variety of information. You can bring it into this process flow where we have Creator, and we'll show you this today. And then we can automatically design the test cases. These are going to be computer-generated test cases. And certainly you'll validate them, but then you'll go to a keyword execution system and link everything tightly together. This is all electronically linked together. So it's 3 steps. First thing is to create, either import or extend that, or manually create a graphical representation of your application. It could be from your requirements, it could be from user stories, it could just be from an SME. Yeah, we've got somebody typing away real fast right now, so if you could, please mute yourself while you're typing. Thank you. The idea here is to have a peer review on this. Understand, so everybody's on the same page for development and for test. Understand what you have. And in this case, we're going to show a graphical UI test, but this would apply to API, web services, backend mainframe, mobile testing. You know, it applies to all of those equally for functional testing. So the idea is that you do a peer review here, everybody's on the same page, and once you have that, you automatically generate, the computer will generate the test cases for you, and you will understand what you have covered. So Arjun will go through all this in great detail, but the idea is you validate, yes, I got what I wanted, and from there you press another button and you're going to get your full documentation. You're going to go straight into automated execution. So the idea is to create this framework, to create a structure that you can use for repeatable, consistent testing. One of the things that's really important, and one of the differentiations that Conformiq brings, is one step. You create that model, import it, but you have it so that you understand it, and from there on, everything else is computer generated. Otherwise, you have to go in and you have to do manual efforts to improve your completeness for generating executable tests, and that just slows everything down and makes maintenance a bear. So there's a real benefit here in leveraging computers to generate your test cases, validate, you get what you want, and it isn't the case that the computer is just inventing things. I mean, what you're doing here is you are looking at that graphical representation of your application, the process flow, including data. You're making sure that it's correct. And the computer, this is the Conformiq software, will actually understand the logic of that model. You're not going to model test cases, because that makes it tough to reuse. You're going to model the application flow, so it's very easy when you make a change. But the key difference here is that the Conformiq software will actually understand the logic of your application and create test cases to test that logic. And that's very different and completely different than any other tool. Additionally, you've got a whole bunch of stuff, and this is going to really be part and parcel of what we talk about today, is that you have a variety of best-of-breed tools that you already have existing, and you want to use them. And maybe each project has a process flow, but that project's flow is different than another project's flow, and often that's the case because you're testing different things. You might be testing an API with one tool and a mobile device with another, and you know, a desktop application with a third. The idea is you want to have a consistent process flow that leverages all those tools and tools into the future. And so in this environment, and we can add to this environment, this is what Conformiq supports today, but the key here is that we can certainly add to this list based on customer demand. And it is tightly coupling these tools together. This is not a simple integration. This is a deep dive, in-depth integration, and Arjun will show you that. And the benefits that we're going to see is that you're going to eliminate a whole bunch of manual steps that you're doing today. And if you're not doing them today, you should be doing them today. But you don't have time, it's difficult to do, whatever the excuse might be, you should be doing all these things. And the key here is that Conformiq software does these automatically. This is what the computer is doing for you. So the idea here is that with this, you are actually going to be able to do continuous testing and keep up with your development, whether it's agile, waterfall, or some combination or in between. The point is the testing's no longer going to be the bottleneck and the back end dragging process, because you can work this methodology simultaneously with development, so that because you're working off the same understanding of the way the application is supposed to flow, the test cases are going to be ready before code drop, whether you're doing it in a progression or not. The point is that this is all being done in parallel with development, so that there's no slow up in your entire go-to-market process. So I'm going to back off of this and say no questions at the moment. Please hold them. But I'm going to come back to this when it's time to end our demo, and then we'll open it up for questions. But if you do have questions during the demo, please ask them. If they're going to be very in-depth answers or something that takes us off course, we can answer them at the end, or we can certainly set up a custom demo for you to go into whatever detail is important to you. So we're happy to spend time to make sure that you fully understand what this tool does, how it works, the benefits you get, and so just seriously, just reach out to us, reach out to Stacy, and we'll make arrangements to work with you. Thank you. All right, Stacy, we need to send this over to.
Yeah, Arjun can just grab the screen.
Sure. Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is Arjun here from Bangalore. And thank you very much, Clark, for the quick introduction of the solution and the scope of the webinar for today's session. So as Clark was explaining, like today we are going to have a quick understanding of the tool. Like how do we reuse the existing artifacts? Like if the test cases are available already in the form of Excel, or if these test cases are already available for me in the QC or BPT kind of artifacts, right? We can quickly import those test cases into a creator tool, so that I'll be able to create that functional model automatically, and then based on the change requests that are coming in, I would be able to modify the model as per the requirements, and then update the generate the updated set of test cases quickly. So first of all, I'll quickly go ahead and create a new creator project here. Okay, so once I create a new project, and once a new project is created here for me, I can quickly import from the existing artifacts here. So you can see, like we can reuse the reuse a lot of artifacts, like if the test cases are available in the Excel format, or if we are following any agile methodology, we have a feature to import the feature files into the creator, so that the functional model can be automatically created, and we should be able to import the test cases from QC test plans, or if the test cases or components are available in BPT formats also, we can do that. So as a case in point, we will quickly understand like how. Can everyone go on mute, please? Thank you. So if a case in point, I can quickly select this Excel sheets, and for this, first of all, I need to select where exactly the Excel sheet is available here. Okay, I'm just repointing to Excel sheets. Okay, so this is the Excel sheet that I have. And once I give this, map the Excel sheet that needs to be imported, it will automatically bring me all the columns that are available in the particular Excel sheets, and I just need to map them here. So, for example, this is the sample Excel sheet I'm taking for this demo. Okay, so this test case is having all the data, like what is the test case number, the test case name, then what are the step names and the step descriptions. So in this example, you can see like the test data is also embedded within the test description itself, along with the expected results. So when I'm importing this particular test case, I need to map the each and every column for each and every row here. So for example, you can see here like what is the test number column name and test name column, the test description, the step name and everything. And when we are importing from the Excel sheet, right, you will be you can choose either the step name or the test description as the main source for the refactoring, so that based on that particular column, it will start identifying the duplicates, step and everything, and it will automatically create an XML in between, and then that will be imported automatically. Now what I'm doing is like, here I'm quickly providing the parameters here. So in some of the Excel sheets or in some of the projects, they may use this dollar as a separator for the test data. In some of the cases, they may use this double quotes as a separator for the test data to mention the test data. Okay, so after providing all these details, I can click on this finish button, and you can see a message saying like the particular Excel sheet has been successfully imported into this creator. So immediately you can see a new folder called model is created, and you can see the activity diagram is automatically created from the model itself. So whatever the input steps that I see in the Excel sheet, okay, for example, if you look at this particular step like enter URL, okay, so this is the you can see all the condition, all the input steps and the expected results in the form of IA and VA. So IA means it's an input action, and VA is the verification action here. So if at all any step is having test data, okay, with a separator called double quotes or something, then you can see that particular data as a parameter and add it to the particular input step itself. So if you go back to the Excel sheet here, so there is a step called open URL, and the step description is enter URL, and within double quotes I've mentioned what is the test data for that particular URL. So that the converter automatically converts that as a input action, okay, and since it is having the data, it parametered that particular data, and for that particular input action you can see the verification action also here. Like that, for each and every action it will create one input action, one verification action. Not only that, okay, so if you look at the Excel sheet, okay, here this is the okay, if you look at these steps, right, so these are kind of a common steps here: add items to the shopping basket and add items to the shopping basket. The step remains the same, but if you look at the data is different, and based on this data you are arriving at a specific expected result. So if the data is the proper, the expected result would be your shopping basket contains one item, and if the data is not proper, it may come out with an expected result saying like verify the invalid SKU. So the same validation also will be automatically mentioned here within the model itself. So yes, here now you can see the different steps with the respective test data. So for this particular step, this is the test data, and for the other step, this is the test data, and there is a validation put in place, and based on the validation it can either go and make a verification action saying like your shopping basket contains one item, or if the condition is a failure, then the output would be invalid SKU. Like this, the entire Excel sheet will be parsed quickly by the engine, and you'll be able to see this kind of a visual representation of the entire test cases as an activity diagram here. Okay, so once this kind of a model is created, right, rest of the job will be very, very simple for us. So now I have a model where I can see the steps along with the test data and the conditions to validate the data that has been already put in place. My next step would be quickly go ahead, okay, and the first step is load the model so that the entire model will be compiled to ensure like there are no errors in the modeling part, and you can see there are no errors for the import as well. And once the model is loaded successfully, now the next step would be generate the test cases. Okay, so once you click on this generate test case, right? So the engine behind the tool will start going through the entire workflow that has been automatically created, each and every data condition, and it arrives at the minimum number or the maximum number of test cases here. Now, as an output, when I click on this generate test cases, right? So it gave me 2 test cases for me. One test case is like invalid SKU or quantity. So if you select this particular test case, right? So the initial steps like enter the URL, click on the start button. These are all the common steps for both the test cases. So here you will be able to quickly see the flow of the test case in the entire model that I have created here. So if you scroll down, now you can see what is the path of the test case. So I understand that this is a negative test case because this is having the invalid data. Now the same flow, you can see it here. So this is a negative flow here. And if you select the other test case, it will automatically identify the positive flow here. Like this, I can quickly review, okay, the model or the test cases that are generated and make sure like whatever the test cases that are generated is same as the test cases that are being used as an input here. Like this, if I have an existing artifact in the Excel sheet, right, I can quickly import that Excel sheet into the model and quickly arrive at a base model here. So this will be considered as a base model for me for all my future enhancements or change requests that are going to come in. For example, if there is a change that is coming into the picture, I can quickly go back to the model. Based on the functionality, I can add that particular part here. For okay, I'll take a simple example here. Okay, now each and every what do you call this input step is having 2 parameters here. One is the parameter name, and another one, sorry, one is the SKU name, and another one is the quantity. But as an enhancement in my second sprint, okay, I got a new requirement saying like along with this SKU and quantity, there is a new field added to the same screen, and the field's name is price. Then what I need to do is like, there is another diagram called structure diagram here, and I just need to go to the structure diagram and take that particular step. Okay, add one more parameter called price, and then come back to the model. Okay, now you can see like there are few errors at different places. So I don't need to worry about saying like, okay, how many errors are there and how quickly I can go ahead and fix each and every error. Okay, instead of that, the tool provide you a feature you can quickly fix these errors. So whenever there is a change in the basic structure of the action or the screen, you can easily quick fix them using this particular option called quick fix. So you can come to that error, right click and say quick fix. So you can see all the errors there, then finish. Okay, now if you look at the actions, right, now you can see where and all this particular event or the action is mentioned, right, it will be automatically updated at this particular area. Now I can provide the test data. Okay, and I will quickly go ahead and generate the updated set of test cases. So simply I can do these changes in the model. Okay, add the test data, and again if you click on this generate the test cases, right, it will automatically generate the updated set of test cases here. Now it is simply loading the model, and again it will go for generation of the test cases. So once we see a message saying the test case generation is successful, I can go to here, and now you can see two different things. So earlier there were two test cases, but those two test cases are marked in the red color here, and with the same names it generated two more test cases for me. So what's happening here is like, whenever there is a change in the model, okay, so because of the change in the functionality or because of the change in the model, okay, some of the existing test cases may become obsolete. Okay, so if you look at this identified red color test case, right? Okay, so this test case is still referring to a test case which is already deleted here. So if I selected the red color test case which is already deleted, and if you look at the test steps here, it is still having only two parameters as an action. But if you select the same test case which is generated just now, okay, and now if you expand that particular step, you will be able to see all the new parameters that are being added here. So the tool will give you an option where saying like, what are the test cases that has become obsolete because of the change in the model, and what are all the newly generated test cases for me. So this gives me a kind of impact analysis saying like, okay, what are all the test cases that got impacted because of the change in the requirement here, or because of the change in the functionality, so that we will take only the updated portion of the test cases, and we should be able to continue with the test execution for the SUT or UAT cases. Okay, so this is how quickly I will be able to modify the model or the structure of the model based on the requirement, and regenerate the test cases, so that I will be able to see what are all the obsolete test cases, or what are all the modified test cases, and what are all the new test cases also. I can see that.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
I assume it's easy to rename those two parameters, 1 and 2, to something that's more meaningful.
Okay.
You know, the ones that say parameter 1 and parameter 2 are not very meaningful. We have a price parameter, and that is meaningful. How difficult is it to rename those to something that, you know, at a glance I could recognize?
It won't take much time actually. So if you go to the definition of these things here, so you can simply go to the definition of the particular action and then rename it to SKU and rename it to QTY, quantity. That's all. And when you regenerate the test cases, the same set of parameters will be updated very quickly.
Yeah, so they'll propagate to all of the areas affected.
Yeah. So, I mean, there is no change in the entire structure or the functionality. So it's just a change in the existing parameters name itself. So now if you go ahead and regenerate the test cases also, it will not give me much of a difference here, because the functionality is not getting affected because of these changes. Yeah, you can see the same, the test cases just remain the same way. But if you select the particular test case and if you look at the parameters, now you can see the updated set of parameters here, SKU, QTY, and price. So it's just a name change of one of the parameters. So it's not going to affect the functionality. So if it is affecting the functionality, then only you will be able to see like what is the old test case, what is the new test case, like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
I also have
Hi,
another
Arjun.
question. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
One more question here.
Sure.
Yeah, this is again Arjun. Yeah. So what if there is a change in the process flow? For example, if it is going, checking the validation, and then if you put one extra, yeah, like that.
Yeah.
yeah, rhombus.
Alright.
I mean, yeah.
Okay. What I will do is I'll quickly add one more functional flow here. Okay. So, for example, when you launch the URL, right? Okay, you will have assume that you will have one more option here. So what I can quickly do is like along with that start link. Okay, let us suppose that there is another button also. Okay, so I'm quickly adding one more activity diagram here, and go here, custom input actions, and continue this. Okay, click on this button. Now so it is like from this URL, there are two different flows. If I click on the start link, the flow goes this way. If I click on this checkout button, the flow goes in a different way. So if that is the functionality that has been added in the next sprint, what I can do is I can quickly create an event here. So because this follows a basic flow charting, what do you call the notations. So as per the flow charting notations or the modeling notations, right? One activity should have only one input or one output. So that is why I just created one event. So from this event, I'm connecting this one and this one. Now, what this will do is like, okay, so as per the existing, as per the previous sprint, I have only 2 test cases. But as per the changes, I am supposed to have one more test case here in this flow. Okay, so that is why I added a new functionality here. Now, quickly I have done that part, and let us go ahead and say generate the test cases. So now what it is going to do is like the change in the functionality is not affecting the existing functionality. So none of the test cases will be marked as deleted, but one more new test case will be added. So the question is, how do I identify whether it is a new test case or not? Now can you see? Yeah, this is an older test case that we already know. So this is an existing test case without any change. So that is how you can see like it is in a normal format, but you see it in a bolded letters with a green color icon. This means this is a new test case for me that is generated. And if you select that particular test case, you can see this is the flow. You understood, Arjun?
Yes, Arjun. I mean, so you just put it that one. I mean, kind of checkpoint there. I mean, once it goes to the the left side, it goes, and then is it anything input that we are taking from there again to validate further, or it's just an informational purpose on the left side that bold letter you put it?
No. It is not for the validation purpose or anything. So if I select this the new test case here, that will show me what is the path of the test case in the entire model. So if you look at this is the entire model that I have created. And if you can see here, the highlighted part. So this is for just a quick understanding, saying like, okay, the new test case is for this particular flow and the old test case is for this flow. So this is for a visual understanding purpose of the test case flow in the entire model. So the model can be very huge, but until and unless you open the entire test case, you will not be able to say, okay, this is an end-to-end test case or this is pertaining to which particular flow. But if you look at this model browser window, you can see, okay, this is a positive test case and this is an end-to-end positive test case for me. So to understand that, this will help me.
So if you're really asking, will this then go to execution, that will be the next step. In this case, what we're showing is a representation of the process, the data, and how quickly it can be changed if there is a change to the design. From this point forward, we're going to show how this is then automatically generated for the test cases, the scripts, and the execution.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so once we have reviewed in this manner and saying like, okay, whatever the test cases that are generated are completely covering the model, then I can quickly go ahead and export these test cases, because till now whatever the test cases I'm seeing it, okay, they are all in the Conformiq Creator tool itself. But if I wanted to give these test cases to the manual testing team, or if I wanted to publish these test cases to QC, or if I wanted to move these test cases to any of the execution platform, I just need to publish the same model into multiple formats for a readability purpose. Okay, so for that purpose, what I can do is like I can add multiple types of plugins here. So the plugin, we call them as scripters here. So we do have multiple plugins from this creator tool. So one of the plugin is like Excel, so that whatever the test cases or the model that we see here will be automatically converted into a user readable format automatically, or I can publish all these test cases in a user readable format and export it automatically to QC, and I can convert these test cases to another tool called Transformer, using which I can continue with the execution of the test cases using Selenium. Okay, so and like that I do have multiple scripters here, like I can export these to Tosca format, or I can export this to QTP UFT VB format, or QTP UFT Excel format, like this. Okay, so I just added them, and yeah, we'll go one after the other.
Now, there are also multiple other formats. Those are standard ones that we release, but Robot goes on and on. I showed you a slide earlier with a number of different tools that we have scripters for. So it's really open to the scripters that you need for your particular use. So just to let you know that it's not limited to just these. Thank you, Arjun. Please continue.
Sure. So now, once I have added all these plugins or the scripters, right? Quickly, I can see that the export test case button is enabled. And if I click on this export test cases button, it will start publishing the, converting the model into the respective format. So to convert or to publish this entire model into Excel, I don't need anything. Okay. And to convert it to an XML also, I don't need anything. But to export all these things to a QC ALM, right? I just, before exporting, I need to configure this QC ALM scripter with all the details, like what is the URL of the QC, and then what are the username, password, everything, and the domain, along with in which test plan folder I need to upload all these test cases. So let me quickly give all those data. Just give me a minute. I will provide all this data here. Okay, so after giving the basic information, right, I do have a privilege saying like, okay, in which test plan folder I can publish all these test cases. So I can say I wanted to publish the test cases into this particular folder. Okay, and the default status of each and every test case is design. And I have one more option here in the advanced settings saying like, if I am exporting these test cases to QC ALM 11 or below version, then I need to check this particular text box, because to access the QC environment from the backend or using the API, I need to connect to the COM interface. But 11 and 11 or above, I can use the REST API. So since I am connecting to the 12.2 environment, I don't need to check this particular option and say okay. So after giving all these details, and I can straight away go ahead and say export the test cases, and at the same time you can export, you can publish this data into the Excel format, into the, you can upload this data into QC, and the same will be converted into a CTA XML format also. So the first step is like it started exporting the test cases into QC environment, as you see here. Okay, in the meantime, it completed publishing the test cases in the Excel format. Now it is connecting to the QC. So let it complete in the meantime. I'll show you this Excel test suites. Okay, so I just I'm trying to open the Excel sheet here. Now you can see 3 different tabs in the Excel output. Okay, one of the tab is like a cover page or cover sheet, I can say. So which will tell me like what is the name of the project. Okay, when is the generation date, how many number of test cases, and all those things. The second tab will have all the information like in the model you have observed like some of them are IAs, that means the input actions, and some of them are the verification actions. The same way IA or the input action will be published into this action category. This is the input step, and this is the expected result here. So you can see these steps like enter the so-and-so URL, Conformiq sample web application should open, click on the start link, it should redirect to the shopping page, enter so-and-so data and click on the add to shopping basket button, verify the so-and-so message has been displayed or not. Okay,
and
so
this format is also customizable. If you have something different that you need, you have an existing format that you use already or something that's mandated by an agency, then this can easily be changed to match. And there's also a question coming up, Arjun, so when you get a chance, you can take a look at that too. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so you can see like all the 3 test cases that we saw in the form of a model will be automatically converted, is automatically publishing the respective documentation format in the Excel as you see on the screen. And as Clark was mentioning, like the format of the test case is completely customizable because whatever the plugins that we are using, so we have developed them using the Java, so that we can help you in customizing this particular format, which is a kind of a one-time job. So once we have provided the customized scripter for you, the output, you can start publishing the output in your own project Excel format itself. And the same logic is applicable for QC as well. Okay, so let us go back to QC and see like okay, so looks like there is an error here. Okay, let's see what would be the issue. So I'm quickly logging into this QC environment, and let's see like how it is going to upload the test cases to this QC. Okay, you can see a this thing called folder called ACC webinar, and within that it automatically creates 2 more folders here. Okay, so one of the folder is the current tests folder, where the test cases will be stored in this current test folder, and you can see there is another folder called test case ethic folder. Okay, so why this current test and ethic folder is used, like whenever you upload these test cases from Conformiq, right, by default all the test cases will be exported to current test folder. Okay, and whenever you have some changes in the functionality, you can go back and do those changes in the model, and when you upload the latest or recently generated test cases, whatever the changes are, for example, because of the changes you have done in the model, so the existing test cases might have been deleted. So when you are exporting those kind of things to QC, right, the existing test cases in the current test will not be straight away deleted. Instead of deleting, those test cases will be moved to the ethic folder, and the new set of test cases will be automatically updated to the current test folder. Okay, looks like there is an error while uploading the test cases. looks like there is a communication failure from my side. So that is why we can see a message saying like the connector failed to complete the communication with the server. Okay, so let us retry that. Okay, in the meantime, what I would do is like we have one more type of output that we just tried. So that is called CTA XML. So this is a format which is compatible with another product called Transformer. So this creator tool can be used only to design the test cases, okay, and export it to multiple formats. Now, the question is like, what if I wanted to execute the same set of test cases, okay, using either using Selenium or using QTP or any other tools like Tosca or anything, okay? So we have another tool called Transformer along with the creator, so that I can convert this entire model to a transformer compatible XML, okay, and if I import that particular XML to the transformer project, okay, I have a readily usable framework, so that with minor changes or with some limited or less effort, I will quickly go ahead with the execution of the test cases using Selenium or QTP. Okay, so let us see that. Okay, I think it's still running. Okay, in the meantime, what I would quickly do is like I'll continue with this transformer. So before moving there, any questions?
I guess no new questions.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, I do have another question. If we want to integrate a data-driven approach, how would we do that here? How would we bring in, you know, multiple test sets
Okay,
to iterate through them?
sure. So within the modeling, okay, you have seen like when I selected this particular action, okay, I can see the data within the model, okay. So instead of entering that data within the model, I can externalize the data in the form of an Excel sheet and map that particular Excel sheet to this particular action, so that it will generate those many number of test cases based on the test data that you have mentioned in the Excel sheet. So if you look at this input constraints,
So this
okay,
wouldn't be a loop. I would actually have 1,000 test cases if I have 1,000 rows of data.
yeah, yeah, you can have that data in an external spreadsheet, okay, and map that spreadsheet with this particular action itself, so that the data can be taken from the Excel sheet to generate those many number of test cases or test conditions itself.
So I can't create a loop and just loop through the data.
No, I didn't get the question.
Well, if I have a set of data, basically it's like parameterizing your test case. So you use the data to drive your test case, but it's one test case. You're just looping through the different rows of data sets that you want to feed into the one and the same test case. It's not a different test case, it's different data that you're looping through the test case.
So the question, Arjun, if I understand it and present it a little differently, is she's saying for one test case, you may want to iterate through that test n times based on n different data elements.
Not data element, well, yeah, data sets.
Or data
right?
sets, whatever, yeah, okay. Data values. So the point is that if you create that as a variable and you want to then iterate, one test case could cover multiple data sets just looping through one data element or one data component at a time.
So it's like one data point at a time. You know, if I have name, street, town, zip code.
Yeah. So, for example, if you have a form saying you need to give this name, street, and state. Okay. So you can give multiple data type. I mean, here itself within the tool itself. So, for example, if you want to mention a separate data set or data condition like this, okay, you can give it here itself, so that the same step will be reiterated each and every time with different data sets here. You can add multiple data sets like this, so that the same step. I mean, when I'm saying the same step, but the entire test case or the entire flow will be reiterated with these data sets. So that's how it can be given here.
So I have to have those in here. I can't just go back out to the Excel sheet and feed a new row of values.
No, you can give them in the Excel sheet as well. So instead of entering the data within the tool, okay, you can create an Excel sheet here. And if you look at this input constraint option, okay, you can see the same thing as like the value list from an external spreadsheet file. So instead of create here, you can create an Excel sheet and map it as an external spreadsheet here. So when I select the spreadsheet, okay, you can see, you can mention what is the spreadsheet path, and then it will be able to regenerate those many number of test conditions or test cases based on the data I have given here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Do you have such example by any chance already in your tool or not?
I'm sorry?
Do you have such example with external Excel or not?
Yeah, we have. Okay, let me quickly do it now itself. Okay. Okay, quantity is 12, price is 100, CQ, sorry. Okay. Okay. Now what I'm doing is like I will just simply save this particular Excel sheet within the model folder itself. Okay. Now let me quickly, yes, refresh. Okay, so I'll go here. Okay, then I will quickly add that as a spreadsheet. And yes, you can see it automatically appears here. And now if I go ahead and say, okay, I will log this, okay, I'll regenerate the test cases. So it is quickly regenerating the test cases, I mean, loading the model. And now it is going ahead with the regeneration of the test cases. Okay, yeah. Now you can see 2 more test cases are generated. Okay, but because of that particular data condition, okay, it is not being covered. So if you wanted to make sure whether it is covering the newly added data sets also, I'm just I've selected this particular test step, and you can see this CQ0001 1200 as the data set. And let me open the other test case. Okay, can you see the new data set is also automatically covered? So it generated one more test case covering for this particular new data set itself. Now, whenever you wanted to make some changes in the data, you can straight away go ahead, open this particular Excel sheet, add whatever the data conditions you wanted to add here. Okay, close it and simply click on this generate the test cases. That itself will automatically generate the new set of test cases or new validation rules based on the data conditions I have added here.
Hi Arjun, this is Amit here. I have a
Yes,
query.
Amit. Yeah.
I just wanted to know, like, suppose there's out of 10 steps, we have some kind of parameterization on particular step. Like, suppose on step number 2, I want to attach an Excel sheet and just want to validate the same, only that step for 10 different, test data, right? And I don't want to execute the whole script for each and every, each and every test data. Is that possible? Because what you showed now, as per this one, whatever number of rows you are entering into that Excel sheet, that many whole test case will be created, and all the steps will be executed for each and every test data or each and every row, right?
Right. So you wanted to, for example, I mean, in this same example, I can quickly tell you, like, for example, here, this is where I added this Excel sheet, and right after this one, there is a verification action. Okay. So you wanted to loop this entire process only up to this particular activity, and you don't want to, okay, you have an option within the tool itself saying testing goals here. So you can define the goals which you wanted to cover. So if you go to this particular activity diagrams and node, you can see all the activities that you have created. I mean, the list of the activities here. So as per your case, you don't want to continue the test cases to be generated from decision. So what you can do, you can simply go to this decision and say, block it from there. Now, if you regenerate the test cases, right, you will have the test cases for all the test data from the Excel sheet up to this particular activity. It will not go, it is not going to cover from this particular point itself.
Okay.
Like this. Okay. And yeah, I would like to have one more point here. So now you are seeing only one activity diagram here, but as my application keeps on increasing, okay, there will be multiple functionalities or multiple modules are getting added in the activity diagrams. Okay, so I cannot manage all the entire flow in one single activity. I can create multiple activity diagrams, one after the other, and if I wanted to generate the test cases for only one particular activity, I can simply mark it as a main activity diagram so that the test cases are generated for only that particular module itself. And if I wanted to generate any of the end-to-end scenarios also, I can stitch them together saying like, okay, this is the main flow and this is the sub-activity diagram and another one is the sub-flow, so that I'm stitching all the three diagrams to make it as an end-to-end integration flow.
Okay.
Like that, I can create 32 levels of activity diagrams, and at each level, I can create 256 activity diagrams.
If I have a large data set, say I have something like 10,000 rows in a spreadsheet, how long about will it take to regenerate the test cases with that?
Probably 4 to 5 minutes, that's all.
Sounds good.
Arjun, one more question. Arjun here.
Sure.
Initially, initially, like you uploaded from the Excel sheet with the scripts, I mean, the steps mentioned, and then you modified according to that enhancement, I mean, according to the example that you took here, right? So can we write the scripts from scratch in this tool?
Arjun, did we lose you?
Yeah, Clark, actually what's happening, right, like it's heavily raining outside and I have a pretty bad internet connection today, unfortunately. So that's why sometimes I cannot hear anything from the participants actually.
Okay, so you missed that question.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you ask again, please?
Yeah. I mean, is it audible now?
Yes.
Yeah,
For me.
Okay.
it's audible, Arjun.
Okay, so I mean, my question was like, I mean, initially, like in this example, you took it like, I mean, you, wrote the scripts manually in the Excel sheet with the steps, I mean, mentioned, and then uploaded in this tool, and then from there, like you updated according to some enhancement, like I mean, as you took one example, right? So, can we write a script from scratch in this tool without manually, I mean, without importing from the Excel
So
sheet?
you mean to say, if there is a new project getting started, how do you
Correct.
start from scratch?
Correct. Yeah, in this tool, I
Right.
mean, without uploading it from manually from the tool,
Yes.
from
Yes.
Excel sheet.
So, right. So, yeah, there is an option. Like, I mean, this is just to utilize the existing artifacts, because, for example, if you have around 3,000 test cases with you, and if I give this tool creator saying like, okay, you start creating the models from scratch based on your functional understanding, you would definitely say no to it. So, but if there is a new project starting from the scratch, so starting from the requirements or starting from the new fresh mock-up screens, then what would you do is like, you would go ahead and create those mock-up screens in this structure diagram, and then you can build these flows automatically, I mean, in a very quick manner. And then you will be able to generate the test cases and publish it to the Excel format. Okay, so you can use that option also.
It's really up to you whether you have a greenfield application or brownfield that you're adding to. Whichever is appropriate, you have an option to quickly create this representation of the application so that you can move forward with generating test cases.
Okay, sure. Yeah, thank you.
There's also there was one question before on speed of importing the data sets and how quickly that was done. I want to point out one thing here, that the Conformiq software takes advantage of all processors that you have available on your machine. It runs it in parallel. It's totally deterministic. So I just want to point out that one of the reasons that it is so fast is that it's taking advantage of all the hardware you have available. And if you have a 64-bit machine, even better, because that takes advantage of more memory, which is obviously a lot of the choke point for heavy computation. So that's the reason it runs very quickly.
Thank you.
Hey Arjun, this is Ayushi, and I have a question. So,
Yeah,
when you started this project, you uploaded an Excel sheet to build out the model, right? So, if this model is dependent on certain keywords like verify, enter, check, or validate, or invalid or valid, so is there any keyword criteria that we have to fill in when we are uploading that Excel, or maybe designing the initial upload?
Okay, so the question is like, do we need to put any additional effort in modifying the existing Excel test cases to make it ready for the import, right? Right. So actually speaking, there is no effort to be required, okay? Because, I mean, for the demonstration purpose, I have taken one sample format that we are being using for the demos, but based on the format that is being at your project, okay, we can customize the importer also, so that the respective columns will be mapped at the time of import, and this model will be automatically created here. So there is no effort needs to be put in at your side, because I mean, in a standard practice, all the test cases will have, will definitely have some steps like what is the step description, okay? Then what is the expected result? What is the test case name? And what is the test case description? Okay, so the basic columns are available. That is good enough for any of the Excel format to be imported into the Creator tool.
Okay. Thank you.
And while importing, we map the columns, right? Saying this is the step name, this is the step description, and this is the expected result. Based on that mapping, it will automatically take the content from the Excel sheet and convert that to either an input action or an verification action here. So that logic is already built in the importer itself.
Okay. So it is more on the basis of what column is the data in rather than the keywords, right? If I understood correctly. Like if it is a step description, then you would, and if it is in a validation point,
Right.
then you would, yeah, put it in
Right,
the verification section. Okay, got it. Thank you.
We haven't mentioned different optimization routines, but there are many available for generating test cases.
And,
there's also
okay.
optimization for import of existing assets so that the duplicates are eliminated. But I don't know that we want to go into that today, but I just want to make people aware that there are multiple options available for that. You can certainly show those if you'd like. Arjun? Yeah, hello.
Well, unless somebody really wants to see, I think we understand the concept,
Sure.
so we can.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily to demonstrate.
Yeah, appreciate that. It might be that people want to have different options available. One of the ones that people use in large measure is just requirements, because you put in requirements, say you link it to your requirements tool, QC or Rally or whatever, even Excel. Those can be directly imported into the model itself, so you can just cut and paste, click and drop them into the model, and then you have all your requirements, and then you generate tests against those requirements, and then you get a report out for traceability of that, so that you understand what's been covered. But you could do orthogonal array, combinatorial. You could do all of your transition points, whatever it might be. As appropriate for your tests. What you think about, because you can generate tests so fast, is that you can look at it and understand your coverage. I mean, as Arjun was showing, did you get the coverage that you want? If you didn't get the coverage you want, then you can change that coverage criteria or change the model and regenerate again. So the key point here is that what used to take a long time, if you were going to write good test cases, if you're going to think of them and write them, is now been basically eliminated, and that's a couple of minutes for everything. So the point is that it changes the testing timeline model, because the test cases themselves, in terms of the design, that time has been eliminated. One of the things that I also want to point out is that a lot of times people put in very simplistic tests, and they kind of switch the heavy lifting, if you will, and the design to the execution team, and so that effort doesn't go away. It's just being passed to somebody else, and that's one of the reasons that the execution cycle takes so doggone long, is because they have to write that in their scripts and put in a lot of information that was kind of superficially done in the first place. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to shift things left. We're trying to be able to do the test design sooner and have it more complete. But in this way, it is also faster for the test design. It's also much faster for the test execution. So, and we haven't really got to that yet. But the point here is that the overall process is intended to create a known good set of tests and get it done faster and sooner. So yeah, I'm sorry, I cut you off. Please continue.
As a follow-up question, do you have any tools related to this tool that support requirements generation? So I have some old applications that the people who designed them and coded them are no longer with the company. And it's difficult to actually even generate the requirements because I have none. Do you have any tools like that?
Technically, no. I say technically in that if you chose to, you could visualize the process flow of your application, and you could manually insert at different points within that process the requirements that you want. So this isn't per se a requirements tool, but you could use it in that way to capture those, but you'd have to rethink them because, it's...
Yeah, and I understand there's some work needed on your side.
I mean, it's not very hard to do that, just to click them and put them in. I mean, if you saw those little purple R's that were in the model, those are the requirements. And so you can just add those, cut and paste them in to handle that the same way if you were to read them in off of an existing requirements tool. The other thing that's important to know also is that you can actually then go and request from that requirements tool if there's any updates, and it will come back and tell you if there's been a change, so that if somehow the requirements changed midstream, you can be notified of that and add those in appropriately.
That's good to know.
So yeah, and one of the things that this is some of the users want, and it maybe goes back to your original question, not directly, but maybe as a value add, is that you do have churn in your testing groups, and documentation becomes very problematic, and knowledge transfer back to your new groups is difficult. So one of the things that some of the users we have want is to use this as documentation, and wasn't shown that I noticed in the model diagram itself, but you have sticky notes that you can add in that, and so you can explain information within that graphical representation to allow the next generation of testers to understand what's going on, or even designers to understand what's going on with the application. So it's kind of up to you, but in terms of having a requirements tool, no, we don't. There are many requirements tools out there. There's many execution tools out there. There's many, data, storage tools like JIT or SVN, etc. So we try and interface very tightly with those tools rather than recreating everything and forcing you to change. So that's the option we took. But again, there's options. In your particular case, we could talk about that and run through a custom demo for you to show how that might work if that's critical for you.
Yeah, I think that would be something that I would be interested in pursuing. Sure. Yeah.
Just reach out to either Stace or me, and we'll make the arrangements.
Thank you.
Arjun, are you back? I think you had some problems.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, well then jump right in.
I heard like a serious discussion is going on, so that's why I don't want to disturb the flow.
Okay, I know you're having communication issues, so I thought I'd fill the dead space by answering questions and giving a little more information. So please continue.
Sure. So yeah.
Another question? Wait.
Arjun, one more thing.
Yes, Arjun.
Can we get the trial version of this tool to get the hands-on with this?
Yes, we can work that out with you. What we don't want to do is just toss it over the fence to you. There's a lot of capability in here, and it's not difficult, but you should understand the flow of the application so that you're at least conversant with it. I mean, it's like putting a new driver in the driver's seat and not telling the driver, you know, which is the gas pedal and which is the brake pedal, or which is the clutch. So we do request that before we let you start test driving this, that we spend some time with you to let you understand what's going on. So we have that. I'm not sure whether you're an end user or you are with Accenture or another service provider that we partner with, but understand that there are COE teams across the world for all of our service providers that have copies of our software and are able to support you on that. So there's a variety of ways that we can provide you information to feel comfortable, as well as us doing POCs for you. That's part of our partnership, but also we do POCs for end customers too. So there's a variety of ways that we can let you more fully understand the details.
Sure, Clark. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so now you can see like the test cases that we have created are successfully uploaded to QC, along with the design steps that we see in the Excel sheets. So you can see the 3 test cases are uploaded successfully, and for each and every test case, you can see the same set of steps in the QC environment itself. Now, quickly going back to Creator. Okay, so once we are done with the generation of the test cases, and if I wanted to continue with automation, okay, I can create, I can use the another tool called Transformer. So let me quickly create a new Transformer project and import the XML that has been exported from Creator. Okay, so this Transformer is the automation platform to make sure like the test cases can be executed very quickly using either Selenium or QTP. Okay, so I'm just creating a new project here, and basically, as I said, the Transformer is completely for the test execution purpose. Okay, so you can see the different concepts like object repository, and the keywords will be automatically created. Okay, after importing this particular XML into the Transformer project. Okay, now you can see a new tab called Conformiq Test Automation here, and let me open this Transformer project. Yes, so this Transformer project is completely having all the keyword repositories, test suites, the object repositories, and keyword libraries. Okay, let me quickly import this particular XML into this Transformer project. Okay, so I can see there is an option called import, and I'm importing the particular, okay, this one. So the CTA XML is okay. So in this import Excel project, in this CTA XML, okay, so it has created one thing called import XML, import Excel. Okay, say finish. Now what is going to happen, like whatever the test cases that we saw within the Creator, okay, each and every test step will be automatically converted into the form of a keyword. Okay, and you can see those keywords in the keyword repository. Okay, and it automatically creates a test suite along with the test cases also. So this is the test suite. So this test suite is having 3 test cases now. Okay, now if I open any of the test case, okay, so this is the test case, and you can see the test steps, okay, along with the data also here. Okay, now for example, if you select any of the step like perform URL action, so this is the keyword that has been that is a action in the Creator, and each and every action will be considered as a keyword when I imported this to a Transformer. Okay, and when you select the particular keyword or the test step, on the right hand side you can see that particular step with the respective parameters. and with the data also. Now you can see the data also. So this is the data, and if you wanted to execute this particular test case in any of the in any of the other environment, you can simply modify the particular test data here itself. Okay, now you have the test. Okay, you have the test suite here, and you have the test cases. Okay, right. This is the test case you can see. So if you select this particular keyword, perform URL action with this particular data, and then perform enter SKU quantity, and then if you select that particular keyword, you can see all the respective parameters for that particular keyword itself. So now you have the test suite now, and you have the test cases. For each and every test case, you have the keywords defined, and for these keywords, the only job that the automation engineer or the manual test engineer needs to do is like, since he wanted to execute this particular test case in the in the application, okay, he wanted to capture the object properties, okay, object properties in the respective application. So for that purpose, okay, he just need to go to the, he can double click on the application, sorry, keyword, and go to the Selenium tab here. Okay, then he can identify what is the object in the application and map the respective object properties for this particular keyword itself. So now here in this transformer, we are giving one more feature, like you can launch the application from the transformer itself in the respective browser, in whatever the browser you wanted to launch, and you can scan the entire application. You can capture the object properties and you can map it within the keyword itself. So for example, okay, I'm taking one sample application called
and I'll make a comment here while Arjun's doing this. Goes back to Yuri's question about after the test cases are generated, can you change the data? You could do that here where you see the data listed, although that may invalidate the test case. You may find that for some reason, from conditional branching or looping or something, that it's no longer a valid test, but that may be what you want to, maybe that's what you want to do. But you could add the data at this point if you wanted to change it.
So now what I've done is like I just launched the application, okay, from this particular UI inspector itself. So it will automatically launch the browser, the default browser, along with the application URL. And the moment the application is launched, you can see all the objects present in the page will be automatically scanned, and you can see the properties here itself. For example, if you wanted to navigate to any other page, so you can simply click on the respective link to navigate to the other page and come back to the UI inspector and say refresh. Now, the moment you say refresh, you can see all the objects in the respective page are automatically identified using the scanner, and it will give you the action also automatically, because since this SKU is a text box, right? It automatically gives this particular action as type. Okay, now you may have a question saying like, okay, with what locator type it is identifying the object? And if I wanted to launch Firefox or IE, okay, so the UI scanner itself is having all those options. So if you go to settings here, you can choose what is the default locator type or what is the default browser that you wanted to launch always. So since I have used Chrome as my default browser, it launched the application in Chrome. And here I have used ID to identify the objects. That is why you can see the locator type as ID. But if you wanted to use any other locator type like XPath, you can simply say that XPath and say refresh. Then you can see it here. Okay. So now once you scan the page and once you identify what is the object that you wanted to capture, okay, so you can again say refresh. Then, okay, this is my object, and copy the automation step and paste it here. So now if you look at the keyword, right? So the name of the keyword is perform click on the start link action. So the intention of the keyword is simply to click on the start button. So that is why I need only that object properties in this particular keyword. Now, my next step would be to identify the objects for this particular keyword. Okay. So I can simply open this keyword, go to the Selenium tab, and go to the UI inspector. Okay, now say refresh. Okay, so select these object properties, copy the automation step. Okay, and add it here. The same way, do it for the other object also.
While you're doing that, Arjun, there was a question from Veronica on the locator types that were shown.
Yeah.
She
So
asked if those were customizable.
Yes. So the default locator types are like the ID or name or XPath or anything like that. But if at all you wanted to use any of the other locator types like CSS selector or the link text or a partial link text, you will be able to choose that particular locator type from this list of things, and you can add that particular value here itself so that it can execute, I mean, it can use the same locator type while the execution is going on.
Thanks.
Sure. Okay.
And Arjun, before going ahead, so the same logic is going to work for desktop applications as well, right?
Exactly.
Like it can scan. Okay, it can scan the application, can launch the application from there.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but for the desktop applications, I think you may need to use UFT because Selenium will not support in a very perfect manner for the desktop applications.
Okay.
And along with that, okay, the transformer is coming up with some of the actions. Okay, for example, to launch the URL, okay, you can use this UI inspector once you launch the application. But when you go for the automation, the first step is launching the URL itself. Okay, so to address those kind of things, right? We have given a few of the keywords here. For example, if you look at this keyword called open, okay, so this will automatically launch the particular URL in the default browser itself. Like this, we are providing some of the keywords like wait for duration or store the object value, verify the test exits, or validate the date. So some of the functions itself we are providing along with the transformer setup itself.
Okay.
And sometimes what happens is like along with the application specific functions or the web related functions, you may have some custom library functions. For example, if there are two Excel sheets comparison is there, you may have already written one particular library or a function to compare those two Excel sheets. So if you have any generic library functions, okay, you can import those library functions also into these keyword libraries and convert them to the keywords and use them as part of your execution itself.
Okay.
Now, once you have added your keywords and all these, I mean, once you have mapped successfully these keywords with the actual object property, then you have an option to run the particular test case from the tool itself. So you can simply click on this run button. Okay, so where you need to choose between Selenium or QTP, and here we are giving one more option like whether it is in web application or Ajax application also. So when you click on this next button, okay, and say run, okay, it will launch the URL in the default browser. Then it will click on the start button and it will start entering the data. And yes, till that point only I have implemented my keywords and the test case is executed successfully. So after the execution, right, you can see the results. It will automatically generate a report here, okay, saying okay whether it is passed or failed. And at the bottom you can see like in which browser it was executed. So if you wanted to see the detailed steps, you can simply click on this particular icon and you can go to the steps here. Now you can see like the open browser in Firefox is passed. So wherever you haven't implemented any of the keywords, that particular keyword will be automatically skipped, and the rest of the things you can see here as passed here. Okay, and when I am running at a test suite level, okay, I can execute the same test case in multiple browsers. So if you come back to the test suite editor and go to this settings, you can see how many number of test cases are there in the entire suite, and each and every test case is marked as executed or not. And if you wanted to make sure like this particular test case is executed in multiple browsers, you can simply mark them like this. Okay, and as a batch, you don't want to execute these test cases. You can simply save them, go here and run it from here itself. So you can run it at the test case level, or you can run it at the batch level. Okay, and you can create multiple batches also like this. For example, this is my regression suite, and for my regression suite, I wanted to execute all the test cases, but I wanted to create one more test suite, which I wanted to run at the integration test suite, integration testing phase. So I can add this as a INT test suite. Okay, and in this case, I wanted to execute only one test case. I can create n number of batches, and when you go with the suite level execution, then it will ask you which suite you wanted to execute. You wanted to execute the INT test suite, or you want to execute the default test suite. Like this, I can configure what are all the test cases I wanted to execute. And if I wanted to execute one test case with multiple browsers, or multiple test cases with multiple browsers also, with simple configuration changes, I can do the same thing in Transformer effectively. Okay, any questions?
There was a question from Yuri again on which technologies are supported. I'm not sure what you want to ask there for technologies, because that's a pretty broad question. But in terms of operating system, our software, the Conformiq software, runs on Windows platforms, virtually all of them. I say virtually, you can go back to the early days of XP, and actually some of our software still runs on that, but everything forward from there is supported, including most Linux versions. The browsers, we just showed you the browsers that are supported for execution. Android or iOS, not directly in Transformer. Obviously, test cases can be generated for that. We didn't show you in Creator that there are object libraries for mobile apps, pinch, swipe, those kinds of things. Custom library actions can be created very easily. We didn't talk about that today, but those can be done very quickly if there's something that's not already in the library. In terms of executing against Android or iOS or any mobile application, we can talk about linking through to Appium or Eggplant or some test tool that will test against the mobile, the mobile application. Actually, there's a demo that we've captured that shows a test against a mobile app running on a cell phone using Eggplant. And if that's of interest, we can forward you that link to watch that. Java applets, ActiveX. Arjun, I'll leave that for you.
Yeah, AngularJS applications also we'll be able to handle using the custom automation feature available in Transformer. So it's like we can create or we can we'll be able to export these kind of test cases to any formats like Python or Ruby or Ruby on Rails, like that. The list goes on.
So we're running a bit late, running a bit over time, but I appreciate the the interests and all the questions. It's important to try and do the knowledge transfer. If there are additional questions, we can look to answer some quickly now, but otherwise, if you have more questions, more in-depth questions, you think of them later, please reach out to Stacy and ask, and one of us will get an answer back to you. And again, if you would like to see something more customized around your particular needs, again, reach out to Stacy. We'll set something up and provide that demo just for you.
Hi Arjun or Clark, I just have a few questions. This is
Sure.
Hari Krishna. The first one is
Yeah.
about the HP ALM upload. So when we are uploading the test scripts to HP ALM, I do see the default status in your application is like design. So the status is like very much customizable for each client. So it can be customized?
Yes. So when you are
Okay.
exporting it from the QC ALM itself, you have an option saying like, okay, what is the test case status? Here
Understood.
it's
Okay. Yeah, the second question is about the automation when we are designing the automated test scripts. So I do see like we have a different locator options, but the object property for the locator can be customized. Like we are copying from the screen and we're pasting in the test step. But my question is, say example, the code of the object can be customizable, or can I edit it later?
Yes, you can do that. You can do that.
Okay. Then the third question is, so far I haven't seen the test results of how it is. Say example, like we ran automated test script, but we haven't seen the test results, how it looks like in XML format, or what is the different format we can download.
It's a HTML format. So it's a simple execution report. Okay. So this is the report. Okay, which will tell you like how many number of test cases are executed and what is the pass percentage and what is the failure percentage. And you can see like the detailed steps of the particular test case in the same browser window. So if you click on that, it will take you to the test case details here, step details, saying like what is the keyword, okay, and what is the step description, whether it is passed or failed.
Okay, so quick question around here, like can we download them in form of PDF, and also can we incorporate screenshots in middle wherever is necessary?
Yeah, for example, when you are executing the test case itself, right, you have an option to choose take screenshot for all the steps. Okay, so if you do not mention anything, whenever there is a failure, it will automatically take the screenshot and map it for the particular test step in the report. Or if you wanted to run a story for all the screenshots for all the steps, you can simply come here, take screenshot for all the steps here. Okay, make sure that option is selected, save it and run. Then you can see in that particular browser itself, you can see one more folder called screenshots, and in that screenshots, you can see all the images there.
Okay, so understood. Like while running the test script, you have to select like which steps you want the screenshots. But can we configure that one within the test script?
Yeah, this is the test script, right?
Yeah, but we are selecting the steps like what screens we want, what and all the steps we want screenshots. We are selecting them before running the script. But my question is like, next time when I'm running, I don't want to do the same action.
Same action in the sense, I didn't get that.
Selecting the steps which I want the screenshots. First time if I select it, whenever I run in the future, the setting has to be.
You can simply go back here and say, you can switch off the screenshots option here.
Okay. Okay, fine. Thanks.
Hi, Clark and Arjun. I have a basic question. Like, suppose I want to, like, I'm using a manual tool. I'm having HPQC ALM with me, right? And if I want to automate and follow this Conformiq, so what are the basic applications I would need?
The basic applications is like you have to have this creator installed with you, 32-bit version. Okay. And once the creator is available with you, you just need to create a project. And if you go to the project and say import, you can see an option called import from HPQC ALM here.
Right.
Okay. So you can simply connect to that QC ALM instance and mention like, okay, from which test plan folder you wanted to import the test cases. That's all you need to do.
Okay, and same question for automation. Like, okay, creative part is done, and I want to execute as well, right?
Mhm.
After importing all this. So suppose I
Right.
want to execute it through maybe say Selenium or UFT, so do we have to, have that kind of applications installed on my system, or it is integrated with this tool?
Oh, good question. Let me answer that one, Arjun. There's two ways that you can work. You could go directly from Creator to basically any third-party or custom platform for execution. There is some linkage that needs to be done that takes some programming, because that's the way all those execution tools work. So we can support that, but what we're showing today is Transformer, which eliminates that scripting and uses keywords, so it's much simpler and faster and easier. Within Transformer, we embed Selenium. So that's all that comes with the tool. If you want to use HPUFT, that would be a separate license that you would have to get from HP. We don't have the authorization to resell that, but
Okay.
that would be something that we would use your existing UFT installation. That's why there's so many different options that we support, back before 11 or after 11. So.
Okay, clerks. In this case, if I just want to go for Selenium, then I have to get the license of just this tool, right?
Yeah,
Conformiq.
exactly.
Okay. Thank you.
No, it's a good question. Any other questions? We're running over, but do appreciate the interest. This is recorded so that it will be available if you want to capture that to review it, or you want to share it with someone else in your organization. Please reach back to Stacy. Any last question?
Yes, Clark. I mean, like, is it like, I mean, compatible with, the QTP, the other Selenium tool? I mean, so we can take these scripts in the QTP tool and Selenium tool to have it, like, written in the, with, again, like, using coding and everything. Is that possible? Exporting it?
Yes. So you can see this option like export these test cases to HP, QTP or UFT tests. It's available. You can take them to any of the machine where UFT is installed, and you should be able to run them. No issues.
Okay, thank you.
So one of the things that we should just explain here, because there's a lot to cover, Creator will generate source code for the test scripts themselves. It's the stimuli for the execution platform. All right. And so if you were to send that out to XYZ execution environment, you could do that. What we're showing here in addition to that is a way to leverage our Transformer tool to do it very simply with QTP and with Selenium. Now, within Transformer, there's also an advanced feature we'll call Rosetta, and it allows you to link with other tools. That's how we use the eggplant example, that we use Transformer and then used the Rosetta option to link to eggplant. So there's a variety of ways to link to basically any execution platform, be it a commercial platform or a customized platform. If someone has their own customized platform, you probably don't want to use Transformer. You'd go directly from Creator through a scripter directly to that custom platform. If you want to do something more direct with, say, Selenium, QTP or eggplant or XYZ, then or Tosca or everything, we can link into that too. So sometimes it makes sense to use Transformer, sometimes it doesn't, and certainly we can talk with you about how best to optimize your time and your return to take advantage of these tools.
Hey, Clark, I have a couple of questions here.
Sure.
So one question is, does the creator or the transformer support integration for Worksoft certified?
We haven't at this point. Could we? I guess the real question on Worksoft is if there's an open API that allows the integration.
Okay.
Worksoft touts itself as being the be-all, end-all, and it's a good tool. I have a question out to find out if there is an API that we can access to. If there is, the answer is yes. If there's not, it's pretty difficult. If a tool doesn't want to let itself be open to anything else, it's hard to crack. So I guess the answer is I'm not sure of that. If there's an API, the answer is definitely yes.
Okay. I don't think there is an API, so I think it's gonna be tough.
It is probably like that, yes. And that's I would say honestly, that's a major limitation of Worksoft.
Right. The second question is, using the transformer tool, will I be able to generate APM tests for the mobile testing?
We could link to that through the Rosetta tool. We are considering doing that with APM for native support, like we have for QTP and for Selenium, but we don't have that done yet. But so you can use Rosetta to do that, just like we talked about. I mentioned with Eggplant, we could do that with APM too. Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Clark.
Any other question? I appreciate all the time and good questions, because honestly, about 30 minutes into most of these labs, people's heads start to explode because there's so much information here. So thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for the real interest. And again, I'll say it for the 27th time, but if you want more information, reach out to us and we'll be happy to answer any of the technical commercial questions that you have.
And do share us the demo that you were talking about on the mobile front.
Yeah, if you would just send your email to Stacy, I'll make sure she sends it out to you.
Okay, thank you. I'll do that.
No, yeah, great, thanks. And then again, if you'd like to see that live so that there's additional questions, just like we were doing with Arjun today, we can arrange that also.
Sure, that would be great.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We could probably keep going for another 20 minutes or so for additional questions, but I think you'll come up with more after we close this out. So please reach out to us. And I want to thank Arjun. I want to thank Stacy. And I want to thank especially all of you who have shown interest. And we're looking forward to following up with you and trying to show and see if this process can help your testing situation, help your customers' testing situation, make it faster, better, cheaper, and look forward to hearing from you. So thanks, everyone. Have a great day today, and thanks for your interest. Talk to you soon, I hope.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Have a good day.
Thanks, Arjun. Thanks, Clark. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.